Hello everyone, this is Lamin Sane of LSWAT apps. So in today's video, let's take a look at some of the common fields which you'll most likely encounter in your composer.json file. So let's go ahead and open the project which we initialized in previous videos, and let's take a look at some of the fields that are there and briefly go over them. So the first field that you'll encounter is the name field in your composer.json file. And usually, if you are not developing packages, it doesn't really matter what this name is, as long as there's no spaces in between like this, you'll be fine. So you can just name it whatever you want. Just say for example, my project. It won't make a difference, but if you're developing packages, which we won't cover just yet, don't worry about what's in there. Okay, so the next field is the description field, which we did not enter when we were initializing our composer.json, but it's like this description, and the value there is just, if you guess right, it's just whatever your project is about. So you can just say my first project from high school, for example. Okay, and the third field is the authors field. And the authors field normally is just your it has some keys in it. It's an array of objects, and these are the two most common properties for each object, that is the name and the email. But there are two other properties which you can add there, which are homepage and role. But normally I don't see that in a lot of files. You can add them there if you want to, but usually these are the two that are really recommended to be put there. And the fourth field that you will very often see in composer.json file is the require. And the require is one that is actually required if you want to keep track of which packages to be used in your project. In this case, we want to specify that we're using the Illuminate support package in our project, so we have to specify it as a key value of this require object here. So we're saying that we're requiring the Illuminate support package, and then the version that we want is up to version 5.2. okay, so next is the require dev. And the require dev is pretty much the same as the require, except that these packages won't be installed if you're on a production server. So during development, when you're doing tests and all those things on your local system, when you do a composer install, it's going to install these packages that are specified in the require dev field. For example, in this case, Illuminate container will be installed, but if you push this project to a production server, these packages would be installed. Okay, so so these are the common fields that you will most likely encounter in your composer.json file. And there's one more field which I did not specify. I actually forgot because it's not here. It's also common, but we haven't yet looked at it. We will in a later video. It's the auto load field. So auto load, and it's spelled like this. And auto load also has some keys in it, like for example files. And we're not going to go deep in into what each of these means, but just know that autoload is a way of saying which files you want your composer.json to load for you anytime you do a composer dump autoload. So if you remember the command that we typed in the terminal here, we did a composer dump autoload. Okay, so basically anytime you run this command here, what it does is it looks in your first it goes ahead and loads any packages which you have listed in require here. So it looks in your vendor folder and goes ahead and requires all these files as needed for your project. Then it comes to your autoload key here and checks all the configurations you have there. So any files that you ask it to include here, it's going to include it in your autoload file in the vendor folder here. So this autoload here. And you can also have other keys in autoload here called class map, and you can have a whole bunch of other stuff like PSR4, which we're going to cover in later videos as well. Okay, so so next there's also autoload dev, and if you guessed it, from require dev, it's also just loads files for you in your project during development. So autoload loads files for you anytime, whether in dev mode or in production mode, but autoload dev loads it in only in development mode. Okay, so the keys that apply in autoload also apply in autoload dev. Okay, so I'll leave this video here for now, and I thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Cheers, bye bye.